Well, they say all things must come to an end. However, I don't think that should apply to Dolphins football. But here we are. We are not playoff bound. Lou essentially called it last week. He said that the Dolphins were not going to beat the Jets. We were all a little shocked and taken back that he said that. But here we are. Guys, welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show, episode 93. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, co-host Lou from Dade. And you have some Miss Cleopatra, special...
I wish it was wrong. Obviously, you want to keep the season going. We're going to keep on doing shows. But they want to keep the season going, and unfortunately, it came to a big crash on Sunday. Not just on our part, but on the other result that we needed to happen. But that's another story for another day. You started the show with our traditional music that we've been playing here, but really what should be playing is funeral music because we're burying the Dolphins' 2024 season. Unfortunately, there was no postseason here, so no afterlife, if you will. And that's it. It's all she wrote for 2024. Not just a disappointment, but a losing record by falling to those Jets, those arch rival Jets. We dropped to 8-9, and you get a losing record after 2 consecutive playoff appearances. So I'm shocked. I'm at a loss for word. I'm upset, and it's definitely not something that we thought of when we started this journey way back in. The schedule came out last May. We go to training camp, all these things, and we're hopeful to have a different result. And it's over.
And even with it being over, our season being over, there does seem that there's more stuff that's over as well. And I'm talking about Tyreek Hill. That seems like that relationship, even though, they did have their little powwows behind closed doors, that seems like that ship has sailed. And that is also over as well.
I don't know if it's sailed. It's not, it's very disheartening when you have your star player come out and say that he's out or whatever. Yeah, it's post game. He changes his Twitter profile picture as well. And then he changed it back. So Tyreek's a very volatile figure. He's kind of like a grown child, if you will. It's not, I wouldn't take any stock or put any stock in anything he says because he's said all kind of outlandish things throughout his career, certainly his time here with the Dolphins. So I wouldn't say the ship has sailed. I would just say that you don't want to see your star player make those comments at the end of the season. So
definitely. So we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously today, we're going to hit about Jimmy Butler, that situation. There's still no resolution to that as well. That, I think it's safe to say that ship has sailed. We're just waiting to see what port it goes to.
And I know you're obviously covering the story and you got more insight on it than I do, and there's many other people as well. But, there was some talk today that his suspension is going to be over by the time the Heat are currently on a 6-game road trip out west.
Yeah.
They're 1-1 so far. Had a big win against the Warriors last night. We'll get into that in a second. We'll just breeze through that. But yeah, a lot of people were saying, hey, what happens once they come back and their first opponent is at home against the Nuggets? If he's not traded, what are you going to do? I mean, you can't suspend him again. He's going to have to do something in order to get a suspension. Otherwise, the Players Association will contest that. So stay tuned, I guess, if you will.
That made me think that welcome. Jimmy Butler. I can't imagine that proceeding and getting that same fire, literally, and energy from the crowd, from us.
It certainly doesn't feel the same.
Awkward.
Doesn't feel the same. We obviously took great joy. The public address announcer, Mike Diamante, he says it, Jimmy, and then there's a pause, and then the crowd says Butler. He does it too, but the whole point of it is he wants the crowd to do it, and it's definitely not feeling too well to have that chant these days. So we're going to recap the game really quick, very minimal because it's really not the recap. I know a lot of people in the room right now and people watching this on Twitter or YouTube. You're here probably because we told you about the contest. We kind of promoted it as well, that we are going to be doing the SoFLo Sports Show Pick'em contest for the playoffs. We're going to get you that information that you need. So definitely welcome if you're here for the first time. We have some fun things in store, and we've had some fun things in store. So we'll get to that in a second. But let's go ahead and recap this game and how it all came to the end for the Dolphins. They needed to obviously win and needed help. So no matter even a favorable result in the Kansas City Chiefs Denver Broncos game, and that was a total disaster. Do you have the picture of what Andy Reid was doing while he was calling in plays for the Chiefs, because Andy Reid obviously has this big play call sheet, and he uses it up there. And he calls his plays off the sheet, and this is what it pretty much looked like to us Dolphin fans when his team produced a big fat 0, as in 0 points. You see there, it's 21-0. Well, it got a whole lot worse. It ended up being 38-0. Kansas City, Denver Broncos destroying the Chiefs. The Chiefs, of course, had a problem getting out of Kansas City, right? You tweeted something about this. Their flight was delayed, or they couldn't get off the ground in Kansas City.
Yeah, there's weather. It's middle of winter. Of course, we had the same problem when we went to Kansas City last year for the playoff game. There's wet weather in the Midwest, and they're not exempt from any aviation, logistics than we are.
No, I know,
safety.
But again, if you knew that these were going to be the weather conditions, get ahead of it and get out ahead of time.
The weather was worse ahead of it.
Yeah, they couldn't do it, so they ended up. It looked like they never left Kansas City, because when you show up and you score 0 points, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So thanks a lot, Andy Reid. Of course, it didn't matter because the Dolphins didn't uphold their part of the bargain. They fell 32-20 to the Jets. They started off nice. First quarter, 6-0, 2 Sanders field goals. Sanders been money all year, so give him credit. And then it went all downhill from then.
It was just a terrible performance. I'll tell you, the fans showed up. There was a lot of Dolphin fans in the stands. So that obviously is great, especially being on the road. Aaron Rodgers, this is the big question mark. What do you do with Aaron Rodgers at this point? Well, Aaron Rodgers broke an amazing record for himself, and he joined an elite group of quarterbacks, 500 club, but he also got to the 501, 502, 503, 504. 503 is where he stopped. And so that was fantastic, and also leaves, like I said, the question: does Aaron Rodgers kind of say, "Okay, I made this elite club. Is that it?" Or does he continue somewhere else? Does he stay with the Jets? So it's a great note to end your career, beating the Dolphins and their AFC's team, join the 500 club, or does he still have more gas in the tank? I personally think we will see him another year with another team. I don't think he's going to stay with the Jets, but I think he just has one more in him.
Yeah, I don't. I think he can potentially. I think he has something left in the tank. I don't know how good he is. He did not have a good year. It's funny, his best 2 games of his season were against the Dolphins. He had his first and second highest passing rating game against the Dolphins both those times. So, but I don't know that based on those 2 games, he can say, hey, I can come back and play an entire season again. So I don't think he's going to come back. But, and it also it would involve, I don't think he's coming back to New York. I think it had to involve another team. So, I just don't see that happening. But as you said, we'll see. Now, he did finish, as you mentioned, with his 503rd touchdown. He becomes only the 5th quarterback to get to the 500 touchdown mark.
Joins the list with great people like Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Peyton, and Drew Brees. I mean, those are. So
Brett Favre is at number 4, 508. Of course, he backed up Brett Favre initially before Favre, left and went to the Jets, ironically enough, and the Vikings. But Peyton Manning at number 3 with 539. Drew Brees, number 2, 571. And some guy called Tom, I don't know what his name is, but Tom something is number 1 with 649. So at a whole other stratosphere.
Obviously.
I
don't think he has enough gas in the tank to beat Tom Brady. So
No, I don't think he may not. No one may catch Brady unless it's Mahomes. But
I'll tell you, Tua won't. Speaking of, we'll get to that topic.
He's got to play games in order to break that record, and it's shown, unfortunately, that he has not been able to do so. And that was a big story. Tua not playing in a must-win game. Now, we're going to get into the press conference that Greer and McDaniel had. I'll tell you, both of them got bailed out by what Kansas City didn't do, because if Kansas City had upset Denver and then the Dolphins would have lost this game, and the opportunity realistically would have been there for them to clinch a playoff spot with the help, and Tua didn't play the last 2 games, specifically the one that would have put you in the in the playoffs, that's very concerning. And again, Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel both got bailed out by the fact that Kansas City didn't show up to play, and it didn't matter what the result of the Dolphins-Jets game was.
So here we are.
Yeah. Do want to mention some other quick things. Zach Zeeler had a sack and a half. He got credited for a sack and a half a sack. So that put him on 10 sacks on the season.
He should also be going to Orlando in 3 weeks to the Pro Bowl, but that's obviously not happening.
Absolutely. 10 sacks from the defensive tackle position is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that many opportunities from the middle, the interior of the defensive line to put up 10 double-digit sacks. So 10 sacks, that's awesome. Calais Campbell also at age 38, and he kind of left the door open that he might want to come back. So that was awesome. He finishes with 5 sacks on the year. So great job out of Calais. He was awesome all year as well. Devon Achane had 121 yards and a touchdown. He should have broken 3 for a touchdown, but he got caught in the back end there. That unfortunately led to a field goal instead of a touchdown. And, Tyler Huntley, who was in there because of Tua being out, didn't really play, and I kind of made mention of that last week that he did that against a bad Browns team, and the Jets are a little better defensively. And sure enough, he threw 2 picks, and he really couldn't get the offense going, and he didn't have a good command of the play call on Sunday.
Another thing, Tyreek did not break 1,000 yards this season.
Yeah.
Not that he was really going to break it, especially that last game, but if you want to hit on that a little bit, let's just get into it, right? So
after the game,
during the game, apparently it's happened during the game. Yeah, during the game, the 4th, Tyreek's not playing. We're not really thinking anything of it. We're still in the game at that point. There's still, time on the clock. It's still a reachable game. Yeah. And we learned shortly after, it was reported by Omar Kelly that Tyreek Hill sat himself and said he's done and that he's not playing anymore. He's not playing in that game. And essentially, he's not playing with the Dolphins anymore. It's what people alluded to.
That's what he made mention of, that he set himself out. There's contradictory reports as to what really happened. Yeah. Me personally, and I didn't like the fact that they did this. The whole point of the Dolphins and the Jets and the Chiefs and the Broncos playing at the same time is so they're playing for something. You're not, the game didn't take place at 1:00 before, and you know what the result is. It's ongoing. Now, the Jets at their stadium, they had the game up on the scoreboard. So technically you wouldn't do that. If that was a Dolphins home game, they wouldn't have done that because you want the guys going out there and playing. But when you look up there and you see 14-0, 21-0, 28-0, and on ultimately 38-0, you know that game's done. And so I think that when you look up at that scoreboard and they saw that, or word got leaked back to these guys that, hey, Denver is destroying Kansas City. They're not holding up their end of the bargain. We're not getting in. What's the reason of playing? Yeah. So I think that's what took place. But
I don't think so. I think that he's done playing in Miami. He kind of heard from Jimmy Butler. Trust me, they're all in the same circle. He said Jimmy just did this totally different sports, but he said Jimmy Butler's out. He's taking the Jimmy Butler lead, and he kind of put his foot down too. He said, hey, I'm a superstar. I like Jimmy Butler. I'm not happy. I don't need to play here. You guys need me. I don't need you. And that's what happened.
Okay. All right.
I think so.
All right. Well, obviously he did make disparaging comments afterwards saying, I'm out, bro. I don't know. I got to take care of my family. Heat in the moment, though. Heat in the moment. He changed his Twitter profile, as we mentioned, and he changed it back. So this is what he does. He plays a game. Ideally, again, you don't want that from your number one player, but it is what it is. His talent speaks for itself. And, I'm hopeful he could stay because you know what? We're not going to get good trade value back for him. Nobody's going to give up a number one like we did to get him originally. He's 3 years older, and let's be real. You're not going to be able to.
He comes with a lot. You just think the last few years of what we had the whole thing, obviously, first game of the season when he's speeding into the Hard Rock. Then we've had situations with the domestic violence. Right. Then we've had situations where he slapped somebody on the boat. Then we have situations that his house caught on fire. Like, Tyreek does not come with just football. So teams have to realize, Tyreek is a full package, but not in a good way necessarily.
Right. And that's, again, why you're not going to get proper trade value back. So I think that the Dolphins need to make it work. And I think he'll be back. I don't think it's a failed thing, but we're going to know a lot more in these next several months.
So. What we also know who's coming back is Chris Grier and Coach McDaniel. Now, the season that we had, obviously, there was a lot of finger pointing for Chris Grier as it is. A lot of, hey, you made this mistake, you made this throughout the whole entire season from fans. And so what happened was we lost the game, but really soon after we lost that game, a statement came out from Stephen Ross saying, basically, hey, listen, Grier and McDaniel's coming back.
Well, you got the statement up. Why don't you look for it?
Yeah, I'm going to. I just want to finish my thought. So I'm just saying the statement came out saying that, they're coming back. And it's not like, the thing is, he had this ready to go because he knew that us fans, if we were going to make the playoffs, we were going to be disappointed. Everyone's going to be disappointed. So he needed ammo to let.
Yeah, no. Right.
To let them know. So hold on, let me just bring that up then.
No, I was going to say pull it up so you can see what the we got to check in everybody in the room because I know while she's pulling that up, I know that we're going to get into our pick segment here so you guys can get your playoff picks in. And we will be doing that momentarily. Just bear with us. If you are watching this on Twitter, you are going to have to put your picks in on YouTube. So can you pull up the statement? Or can
it's right there, yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys can see that, can you pull it up so I can see it? Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
Want to read it? Or?
Yeah.
So basically, you can see it there. It says, I want to thank the players and coaches for their hard work. Yeah, right. 24th season and the fan support. I don't believe that either. He's the owner of the team and ultimately accountable for our success and failures. We fell short of our expectations. As we look forward to 2025, our football operation will continue to be led by Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel with my full support. I don't need to read anything else. I saw that. You guys could see it. I thought this was an alarming statement and crazy to release this. I mean, I think it was released like 2 hours after the game was over. And if you look at the other teams that release statements, they release statements to pretty much say, hey, unfortunately, the season didn't go according to plan. We are firing our head coach. We are firing our general manager, and we are moving in a different direction. So the fact that you have to release a statement to tell your fans and people that follow you that you are keeping the guys who are currently in charge that have done nothing is just, it's crazy. I mean, I can't put it any other way. Would you agree? Anybody in the room? Can you check if the room agrees? Because this statement to me had me at a loss of words. You saw teams like Jacksonville, New England, the Raiders. They all released statements that said we're moving in a different direction. The Dolphins are saying, hey, we're staying the same. Hey, did you like the 8-9 season we just put together and missed the playoffs? Didn't win the division? Didn't win a playoff game again for 25 years? The longest running team without a playoff win? Did you like that? Well, if you didn't, I'm here to tell you that we're running it back. Same guys, from the top to the coach, we're running it back. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it came out, and basically we're stuck with what we have. That's what I was saying. Right.
Well, I vehemently disagree with that, and I've made it very clear with what I said all year. I think Mike McDaniel has done a horrific job coaching his team. His record in big games against teams over 500 speaks for itself. The fact that he doesn't know how to manage games. We were at the Texans game where we couldn't get the play clock going. He was also in other places, Kansas City last year in a playoff game, down 24-7, and he's huddling up and taking the play clock down 5 seconds. And then 2 years ago in Buffalo, same thing. He had to call a timeout, and he couldn't get it in because he ran out of timeouts. So he's just unprepared. He's unprepared, and I don't think he should be leading this football team any longer.
So some comment we have, Brett. Then he had the nerve to say how we have been a winning team for the last 2 years, but no playoff win.
Yeah, and could you pull that up? I put one of the pictures that we have here as well shows that he made this comment, which I couldn't believe either. It shows that Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, Monday, which is known everywhere as Black Monday, but unfortunately we decided to roll with these two guys, and pretty much here's what his comment was, which he said, based on the success we've had here the last 2 seasons, this year was a disappointment. Really? What is your definition of success? Because the last 2 seasons produced a number 7 seed and a number 6 seed and 0 playoff wins. So if he thinks that's success, then if we would have gotten into the playoffs this year and snuck in and won a playoff game, is that the goal? The goal is to win a Super Bowl, not to, make it to the playoffs or barely get in or, win 1 game. You want to raise a Vince Lombardi, and these guys are falling short on those expectations. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So, So we have games next week that we are not part of.
Right,
we would have been playing. We would have been going to Buffalo, so that's not happening.
Yeah.
Broncos are going to Buffalo, and so you want to jump into the pick'em, or
yeah? So let's do the pick'em.
You want to go a recap of the season?
We could do the pick'em to get just some of the games underway. So again, if you are watching this on Twitter, you're going to have to come over on this side. We're going to give you kind of a rundown as to how we're going to do it, and we need you to put your picks. You're going to have to select your picks in the chat room. We're going to document it all, and that's the way we'll be able to go ahead and say who made these the selections. Okay. Before we do that, though, every year I carry in my wallet the Dolphins schedule. I know it's old school. I know it's readily available, online and whatnot, but there's no money in here. That's unfortunate. But in my wallet, I have this awesome wallet, Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville wallet, but I have the Dolphins schedule. And because I cannot throw away my ticket that I put on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, I'm going to ask that you hand me the scissors over here. And I would like to officially announce that the Dolphins schedule was garbage. And we did horrible. So season's officially over now, and it's time to move on. So that's that. All right, let's get into it. Playoff Pick'em, SoFLo Sports Show Playoff Pick'em. This is the way it's going to work. You're going to announce your picks on here. We're going to do it game by game. So we're going to do Saturday first, the Saturday games. The way it's going to work is this: for this first round, all we're going to ask for you to do is to put a winner. All right, everyone will pretty much advance to the next round. You're just going to select your winner, and we are going to keep tabs on obviously who you're picking. You're going to get a point just for picking the winner. If you happen to pick an upset will be determined by the point spread, not home field advantage. So if you pick an upset and that comes true, you will be given an extra point, a bonus point, if you will. So 1 point for picking the game correct, 1 point for a bonus point. Next round, we'll do the line. Okay, so we're just going to tell you the games for this Saturday. And if you are participating, once I tell you the games, you're going to just select the two teams. You're going to select the two games for Saturday initially. So Saturday, we got the Chargers taking on the Houston Texans, LA Chargers at the Houston Texans. That is a 4:30 p.m. game. And I'll tell you the line just for purposes of you picking. The Chargers are currently favored by 2.5 points. So that is your first game that you get a chance to pick. Your second game is the 8 p.m. game Saturday night, and that is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are at the Baltimore Ravens. That game, again, at 8 p.m., and the Ravens are 9.5 point favorites in that game. So you can either put in now or you can hold off.
No, I have to do it now.
All right, so just so you can acknowledge that you are in, at this point, you have to pick those two games. So you would just put whoever you like of those two games, the winning team, just that. So we'll give you a chance to put that there in a second. And I am not going to be able to pick the games because I am going to pick them myself, and I don't want to influence the people. But what do you got for those games? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Texans and Ravens.
Texans and Ravens, you said?
I do.
Okay, nice. All right, so that's what Ashley says. Again, I am abstaining from making these picks, but I see people in the room, they're picking it. I don't want to highlight their picks. We're going to see it on the chat log, and we will make mention of it. Again, if you are listening on Twitter, if you're watching this on Twitter, you are going to have to go over to YouTube and make your picks on the YouTube site. Another quick caveat, because obviously we want to keep track of everybody who's on here. You are going to have to subscribe. You have to be a subscriber to the channel in order to have a chance to win. And it'll be winner take all, $50 to the winner who selects the most amount of games correctly through the Super Bowl.
Perfect. All right, let's continue with Sunday. Sunday's big games, even more than Saturday.
We'll do Sunday.
Dolphins should have been playing 1 o'clock, but we're not.
Exactly. Even though I'm standing for picking, I will say that I want the Bills obviously out. We're Dolphin fans, so we have to root against the arch rival, division-hated rival Buffalo Bills. So I will just say that. But it is my duty to tell you that the Broncos, who got the 7th seed over us, they will be at the Buffalo Bills. That'll be the 1 p.m. game on Sunday, and that game will be in Buffalo, obviously, and the Bills are favored by 9 points in that game. Next up, we have, and I think we have Russ in the room from Philly. So his Eagles are hosting the Green Bay Packers. So that's Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are favored by 4.5 points. That's the 4:30 p.m. game. And then the last game at 8 p.m., the night game, Sunday Night Football, is going to be the Washington Commanders. They are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, and the Bucs are 3-point favorites. So we'll give you guys a moment there. Once you guys have already selected your Saturday games, you'll go ahead and pick your Sunday games, put it in the chat. Again, Broncos at the Bills, the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. While we give you guys a chance to put your picks together, crazy 1 p.m. games in the NFL this past Sunday. You're looking at the Tampa Bay Bucks were in a huge battle against the Saints. The Saints were underdogs by 15 points, and they came out and fought. And then Atlanta didn't get in. It wouldn't have mattered either way because Tampa Bay won. But Atlanta and Carolina, that was a game that went to overtime. The Carolina upset the Falcons. So that was a crazy game. Just a lot of wild endings to some teams that weren't supposed to play starters, weren't supposed to put up a fight. And it came down to some great games.
Now, so the biggest one was saved for Sunday night, the Lions and the Vikings, which was the showdown to be expected. And it was just a fire game. And, we're sitting in the background cheering for Andrew Van Ginkel. He had a big sack. And I'm like, dang, really? But you're happy for the guys. So Sunday night, although it did not end in our favor, it was an awesome game to watch.
Yeah, no, it really was. And it was the biggest, we talked about the show last week. It was the most wins, 28 wins combined. Both teams were 14-2. And crazy how, the winner ended up getting the 1 seed, which was the Lions, and the loser ended up getting the 5th seed, which was the Vikings, which is our last game. We're not going to talk about that yet because we want you guys to stay tuned. So you cannot pick that last game yet. We'll get to it in a second, but you want to talk about the big news that broke?
Some hockey news down here, even bigger than, we were anticipating. We have a huge Winter Classic game that has officially been announced. We are playing, the Rangers are playing us next January. It sounds so far away too, right?
About a year.
January 2nd, 2026. The Winter Classic, first time ever at Lone Depot Park. Our Florida Panthers will be playing the New York Rangers.
That's right.
So that'll be awesome. I'm already hearing if people are like, oh, your season ticket for the Marlins, will you get access early? No, if anything, it'll be the Panthers season ticket holders because, we have, certain perks as Marlins season ticket holders, Santa Fe bananas and stuff like that. But I cannot imagine us. We're going to be regular people on that list trying to get tickets. So do not come for us asking us for hookups because we need the hookups.
There was a link already. You're talking about the Marlins Stadium holds 37,000, but obviously with the I don't know if it's going to fill. It's a lot of people.
The Rangers fans will travel.
But then I was going to get to that. But also, now you're going to have even more seats because a rink is not as big as a baseball field. So they're going to put that the rink in the middle of the field, and they're going to put bleacher style seating, onto the field. Really cool. So it's going to be an awesome setup. It's a Winter Classic, game. So the roof is going to have to be open, and they're going to have to figure a way how to keep that ice cold. So that's cool. Do you have the flyer that mentions it? Do you have the picture of to pull that up?
I do. Yeah.
Because it was also announced that you mentioned the Rangers. A lot of people thought that it was going to be the Panthers and the Lightning.
They got their own thing going on the year after.
Correct. So there's a distinguish of the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series. We got the Winter Classic, as you can see there, and the Tampa Bay Lightning got the Stadium Series. So they're both playing in stadiums, if you will, but it's just a different, a different way to promote it. So it's got like its own separate series, if you will. So you're looking at the Boston Bruins are going to be in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium, and that's going to be played on February 1st of next year, 2026. So I'm with you. I think with all the New Yorkers that there are down here and the fact that it's going to be the southernmost outdoor winter game that you could get, it's kind of historic. It's very historic, if you will. And so I think you're going to get a lot of Ranger fans coming down, and I think it's going to be close to a sellout. It's going to be, you got a year to promote this, a year to sell it, and I think it's going to do really well. I'm super excited to be out there, seeing hockey in a baseball stadium that's normally not filled, and seeing, the roof open, the sun out. That's going to be cool, man. That's going to be really exciting. It's going to be fun for the city down here. I always thought that Lone Depot Park should have gotten, the NCAA Final Four, right? Get a Final Four down here. Obviously they've hosted the World Baseball Classic, but I thought they were going to branch out more to doing events like that. And the Final Four in Miami with the roof overhead, you can't do it at the Hard Rock because of the gap in the roof. So, I thought that would be the way to go. I also thought back in the heyday of the Heatles, talking about, of course, Dwayne Wade, make no mistake about it, Dwayne Wade was the leader. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh I thought the Heat were going to, try to have a game at Lone Depot Park. They probably could have sold it out because they had a lot of requests for tickets back then. And if you would have put a Heat, Lakers matchup, Heat Celtics, I think you could have, done something there. Had a Heat game at Lone Depot Park. That would have been cool.
No, definitely. And we're staying on the topic of hockey. We have a new team, a Utah team in the NHL, and so, but nameless.
They were the former Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
So, and there, to my knowledge, there aren't Coyotes in Utah as there are in Phoenix. So they had to change the name, but the change happened so quick last year, and it requires you to have 18 months to change your name. We saw this with the Washington Commanders when they were the Washington football team. So the Utah team is currently called the Utah Hockey Club. And I know that you had some of the finalists, the names that are in the finalists.
Yeah, Utah Blizzard, Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoths, Utah Outlaws, Utah Venom, Utah Yeti. So, I mean, I personally like the Yeti. I think that's I can see the mascot, thinking about Disney. The Yeti comes out.
Right.
At Expedition Everest. That's like scary, but it's fun. So I like the Utah Yeti personally.
And I'm with you. I mean, the Blizzard is cool too. The Utah Jazz, who share that arena, the Delta Center, I think it's called. I think it's called the Delta Center. But they share that arena. And the Utah Jazz, the old uniform, used to have the mountaintop. So, the mountaintop Blizzard, I could see that happening. You already have the Avalanche in Colorado. So that could be like a cool rival there. Utah Blizzard and the Colorado Avalanche. But I'm with you. The Yeti, you have a chance of that mythical monster creature, kind of like what the Kraken have in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I would go Yeti. Guys in the room, before you give your last pick of the night, what do you guys think? What should be the Utah Hockey Club's name that they're going to pick next year? Again, the finalists are, to keep it as a Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Blizzard, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaws. I like that one too. Utah Venom could be pretty cool.
Well, the Utah Mormons.
Or,
I mean, that's the obvious.
I don't know about that one. She's saying the Utah Mormons.
No, Brent said it.
I don't know. Brent. Oh, okay, Brent. I like what you're saying, but I don't know if that's going to be considered. I don't know if that would be considered. So again, keep it as a hockey club. Blizzard, Mammoth, Outlaws, Venom, or Yeti. Guys, drop in the chat what you think should be the name. We're going to pass along these names to the Utah Hockey Club. So, we have a say in the matter. So go ahead and drop in the chat what you think the Utah Hockey Club name should be. You want to see who people are picking?
Venom and Outlaws. Or Venom. All right, actually, it's all over. The Outlaws.
Sheldon says the Outlaws.
Yeti. Venom. Yeah, we don't have a consensus.
Not a consensus. All right, okay. Well, we'll still pass along your names. Hey, there's some cool names out there, and we'll get into it. So, all right, you were at anybody else putting in any names? I see another Venom in there. I see a Yeti. Russ says the Yeti. You were just at, and you want to put up the pictures of you here while I was working this afternoon and early into this evening. Ashley went over to Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road, a very famous get-together place, happening place in Miami Beach, and that's where they were having the Orange Bowl kickoff party, pep rally. Sorry. And so are you seeing this already or no?
No, not yet.
She's about to pull it up. Of course, Penn State, the Nittany Lions, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, two historic traditional programs, are meeting in the Orange Bowl. And so Ashley went out there and got the lowdown as to what was going on there. You had a picture of Romance too?
No, that's on my Twitter.
Okay. All right. So there, what are we seeing here? You tell me.
Yeah, I'm trying. So what you're seeing here is the schedule of events. As Lou mentioned, it happens in Lincoln Road. The event started at 5:30 p.m. It was swamped. It was packed. Like, it was gridlocked. Lincoln Road is like an outdoor mall setting, and you could not even walk around. Heavy Penn State presence. It wasn't even a close split between Notre Dame or Penn State. It was truly like, we are Penn State, like nonstop.
Nice.
So I would say about an 80-20 split. Here's the schedule of things that happened that night. Or tonight at 5:30.
Yeah, it's still going on.
It's still going on.
We're missing the Penn State band and cheerleaders right now, by the way.
No, it ended. That already happened.
Okay.
So 5:30 the event started, but by the time I got there at 5:30. It was like really started already. 6:20, our local high school, Miami Beach High School, which you've done work with plenty of times.
High Tide.
Their band and also cheerleaders had a performance. 7:20, I caught a little bit of this as I was leaving. Notre Dame band and cheerleaders, they lined up in front of Shake Shack. They had that side street right there, so that they were ready to go. And then after, Penn State was ready to do their thing, and the event says it ended at 8:30, but I am sure it's still hot and heavy right now as we speak. So that was going on. Then they had so here's Notre Dame. This is Shake Shack, like I told you. This is their band, their cheerleaders behind there. They all lined up. They were cold too. I mean, and that was weird because I'm like, dude, you guys, you're up there in Indiana and you're cold. Yeah. So, but they were chilly. I heard of them say like, "Burger, it's cold." I was like, okay. So that's them getting ready to perform. That's me.
That's the trophy.
That's the trophy. Yeah. Awesome.
Now, are those, you were up close to that thing? Can you confirm, are those real oranges?
I touched the orange. Oh, sorry. I'm zooming too much. Look at that rain. Yeah. So
are those real oranges?
Everything was real there. In the picture, and then the trophy, Right. The real oranges. Trophy's huge. It was. I've never really been that close to the heat trophies and stuff, but this trophy was just monstrous.
That's a big trophy.
Yeah. And I kind of thought like to grab one, but I'm like, I don't want to be that girl. But they were definitely real oranges.
I mean, I got to tell you, they might be real because
no, they are. They were.
Yeah, because the Pop-Tart bowl, they had Pop-Tarts there, so yeah.
And then, so this all happened. These pictures, the line was very, very long. It happened in the Capital One, like bank area that they have there. But it took about 40 minutes to get in there. But once you're in there, are you able to take that picture? And then they also had this cool photo op as well with both helmets as well with, again, real oranges. And those are not oranges back there. Those are balloons.
Balloons, okay.
Yeah. So just a really cool time.
Awesome. And you got some giveaways?
Yeah.
I always love giveaways. So, I could not make it. I was at work, but I had to go out and said, hey, they're going to have giveaways. I need some giveaways. So go ahead.
So yeah, Lou gave me a huge mission to get everything, and that's what I did. So
show them some stuff you got.
I did. So I got two of the not little, they're actually monstrous little pennant. I keep saying little.
You almost poke my eye out with those
pennant flags with the Orange Bowl Classic logo.
Cool.
Then I got one of these fingers.
That's awesome. Who doesn't like those things, right?
Orange Bowl Classic.
Come on.
Right. And then I got two of these bandanas, right? I asked the guy who's giving this out, I'm like, can I have two? And he was like, you could have as many as you like. So I was like, no, two's fine, please, just two.
Right.
So he was about to give me 70, but I said two is more than okay.
You should have gotten more.
No, I wanted to be respectful because I was the only one in line with not Penn State or Notre Dame. Like I was that girl, so I wanted to be respectful to that. This was just Capital One Cafe. It's like
little sleeve, little arm sleeve
for they're giving away drinks, so it's little arm sleeves. Keep your drink cool.
Cool.
Then I got these. So I got this in orange, and then I also got it in blue.
I'm gonna put those on now. Why not?
Okay, sure. Here, go ahead.
Yeah, put that one on me. There you go.
And then
I'm official.
They give away these little eye thingies, little patches.
I'm not gonna put those on, but those are cool little eye black that you put underneath.
And then Lou also gave me another strict initiative. He said, "Do not go shopping when you're down there." Now, Lincoln Road, it's close to our house. I'm a regular there. They have all my favorite stores, Forever 21, Nike. And he just said, Ash, do your mission. Go there, have a good time, but do not shop. Yes. And I was getting ready to leave. I was all intentions of leaving. And then the Nike store, which is pretty much next to Capital One, they had a table. And I know Lou would want me to do my due diligence and go to the table and spin the wheel. So what did I do? I spun the wheel, and I got a coupon for 20% off. And it expired on Sunday. So I told Lou, I got to break the rule. Got to go shopping. So I did a little shopping. And yeah, it was great. But just packed.
Yeah.
Packed.
Traffic's been crazy in town.
It was so bad.
A lot, even though that the game's on a Thursday, and people were off of work and vacation the last 2 weeks. But hey, when you get a chance to get into the semifinals, especially if you're a program like Notre Dame and Penn State, you make your way down to Miami. And so that's what they did. A lot of people came down here.
So you want to
they're repping.
You do want to, you say.
You got to turn this thing off. It's distracting.
I know. I was wondering.
I turn it off. I'm going to leave it on, but just turn it off.
Okay. So you mentioned people coming down here. So when I was in line to go into the Capital One restaurant bank that they had there, because I said it was a long line, I started talking to people, whatever. And I was talking to Penn State people because they were all there. And I said, like, hey, did you guys come down for this? And everybody I spoke to, they came down. And like 90% of them were from Jersey. So it was just fantastic of South Jersey heavily, mostly. So it was just great to connect with people who really travel. And, when we travel to away games, whether it's Dolphins, Heat, Marlins, people are always so shocked. Oh, where are you from? We said Miami. Miami. Yeah, well, it's our team. Right. So I was almost in that position. Oh, where are you from? Pennsylvania, New Jersey. You came down for this. Yes. Yeah. So it was cool to be on the opposite side of that and to really, appreciate people traveling. But they were all drinking the Kool-Aid, literally like feeling it, but it was heavy. So if that is an indication of what the Hard Rock's going to look tomorrow night at this time, then Penn State will definitely have a home field 5 advantage because it was not even close. Wow. I mean, it was very, and I could.
Well, but maybe Notre Dame went to Fort Lauderdale. You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, all right, we'll see. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
It's my due diligence. Mm-hmm. Also, I got to make mention as to what's happening in these games. So tomorrow night from the Hard Rock Stadium will be the Capital One Orange Bowl. Penn State, the 7th seed. Notre Dame, the 7th seed, and Penn State, the 6th seed. Yep. Notre Dame is actually favored in the game by 1.5 points. Mm-hmm. So take her advice for what you will, but she's saying that it's going to be heavy Penn State at the Hard Rock tomorrow. Of course, this is a great opportunity for, I don't want to say I was going to say a negative name towards them, but I'll be nice. Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, to maybe stick their head out of the suite and see the talent on the field because we may be drafting one of these guys. The Dolphins, of course, are going to be picking 13.
Yeah, lucky 13.
We'll see. We already picked Chop Robinson last year, first round. So who knows? Maybe we pick another Penn State player this year. We'll see. The other matchup of the other semifinal is going to take place Friday night, and that's going to be in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. And that is going to be Ohio State, the number 8 seed, versus the number 5 seeded Texas Longhorns, who are essentially going to have a home game.
Yeah,
in Texas. So, but right now, Ohio State is favored by 6 points in that game. So we shall see what happens.
Yeah, no, it's 2 great games. Thursday, actually, just all in general, great football for the next 4 days with obviously those 2 huge bowl games and then leading right into the NFL playoffs.
Yep.
So,
and it's, again, if you want to drop in the chat who you guys think, obviously Russ, I'm sure, is picking Penn State. You guys can say who you think would win these games. This is apart from our playoff pick'em. This is not included with that, but interested to see what you guys think in the room. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
I can't say my prediction for this because I'm not whatever. I thought Penn State has looked the best so far in these playoffs, and the other team that's looked really well is Ohio State. So I think we're looking at an all Big Ten final, and that's going to be Ohio State Buckeyes and Penn State Nittany Lions. I think they're going to be meeting for the championship next week, and we'll see. But I think that's what we're looking at. Notre Dame beat a Georgia team without their star quarterback. So that's what happened there. And Texas and Arizona State. Arizona State is not a traditional program. Texas had a big lead in that game, let Arizona State get back into it. And so I think you're looking at Ohio State winning big. And I think Penn State also will come out victorious. And then we'll let you know next week's show who we think is going to win. But I think it's going to be a heck of a game between Penn State and Ohio State for the national championship.
Oh, it's going to be an amazing. First of all, it's like I said, 2 games tomorrow, and then whatever team ends up in that national championship, it's going to be very, very heavily watched, very, very profitable, and just great alumni and current students enjoying that together.
Yeah. So we got Russ saying that he thinks Penn State. Dave says Texas.
No, but Dave also says Penn State too.
Oh.
Yeah, he was just talking about that one.
Okay. Oh, for the Texas-Ohio State game. Yeah.
So what we're seeing in the chat.
Dave obviously also a big Michigan fan. So, he's saying Ohio State in jest, but I think he definitely doesn't want Ohio State to win. So we'll see.
Definitely. All right. So you want to go back to people so they can put their last chat in? Or?
Yeah. So once again, if you are just tuning in, couple of rules for this contest that we're doing. We will be doing it through the Super Bowl. We're going to do it in waves. So the first wave, you're going to get 1 point for this week. All you got to do is pick the game. No spread. Just pick the game for this week. You will get 1 point for picking the correct winner. And if you happen to pick an upset, again, the upset has to be based on the point spread, not home field advantage. You will get an additional point. So that'll be for this week. and then we will give you the instructions for the following week as well. You must be a subscriber to the channel. It is free. There's no cost to be a subscriber to the channel, but you have to be a subscriber in order to be in the running for the $50 prize at the end. And if you are on Twitter, you have to come onto the show and make your selections in the chat room. So you have to come on over to Twitter, from Twitter to YouTube, and go ahead and subscribe if you've not done so already to the channel, and make your selections in the chat. Very important to do so, or you will not be able to participate.
You got it.
All right. So the last game, obviously, is the Monday night game. I love this element, how they put a Monday night game to the schedule. That's been going on now for the last couple of years after they made the playoffs expanded from 6 to 7 teams. And that Monday night game is going to be the 5th-seeded Minnesota Vikings, who dropped from the 1 to the 5 because they lost to Detroit. They will be taking on the LA Rams from Los Angeles. The Rams are the 4th seed. And currently the Vikings, again, doesn't matter point spread for this week, but the Vikings are currently 1-point favorites in that game. So if you have not done so and you're just joining us, you're going to have to pick all the games that we had said earlier. If you already did that, no need to do that. We'll piece those together, but go ahead and make your selection for our final game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams from SoFi Stadium in LA.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are gonna.
Think the Vikings are gonna. Wow.
Vikings are hot.
They are. The Rams didn't play their starter. Jimmy Garoppolo played for Matthew Stafford this past Sunday in their loss to Seattle. So they got a little bit of a break.
Oh no, we're all spread out in the. I can't.
Yeah,
I
don't
can't
show it.
I know, but we are.
They
spread
can
out.
see it in the chat room,
Yeah.
but I don't want to highlight anybody's picks, and that's why I'm not making my pick. But again, you guys put your picks in. But I will say Minnesota, had a tough challenge going out to Detroit, and trying to win the division on their field. So it sucks that you go from, being potentially a 1 seed and hosting a playoff game to having to go on the road. That's the life of an NFL team, and that's why us Dolphin fans are so upset that we have not been able to break through and, win playoff games. But where have we been for those playoff games? We've been on the road. Your best route to get to the Super Bowl is to, win your division, try to be a 1st or 2nd seed. So you play the lesser opponent and win a couple home games and get to the Super Bowl. But it's tough business in the NFL. You got to win your division. No doubt about it.
And that's something we have not accomplished in a very, very, very long time. So
here
we are.
Way too long. So, we'll see.
All right. So
want to give a Jimmy Butler update before we head out?
Oh man, there's still hype about my antics last week. No, I mean here we are, right? He without Jimmy Butler, a lot of teams were warned. A lot of other teams were warned. Don't even entertain the conversation of Jimmy Butler. Teams like Minnesota, teams. There were so many. Golden State, don't even get the idea. They're telling everybody in their front staff, coaching, Jimmy Butler is not coming here because they know the toxicity that comes with him, right? So then Phoenix was kind of brought up, and Jimmy did mention that, hey, Phoenix would be one of the teams that I'd like to go. Obviously that deal would hopefully obviously have to have Bradley Beal come in here or something along those lines. But Phoenix seems to be the top contender right now for Jimmy to go there. The other rumors were a Houston. Okay, yeah, maybe I could see that. But again, there were teams that completely said no, do not even bring that up. Which those teams could have had room for Jimmy, and Jimmy could have potentially been a good fit for them. But they know they're not dumb. They see the type of antics that are happening here, and they don't want that brought to their culture there. So yeah, right now we're just looking at, we're just waiting. The suspension will be over by the time the Heat have their next home game.
Right.
And
against Denver in 2 weeks.
Denver, we mentioned that. So does Jimmy come back here and play that game if a trade is not done? The trade deadline is in February. So is something going to get done before February? I mean, it has to if it's going to happen. And then if it doesn't, does Jimmy just not play the rest of the season, which I can't imagine happen? Or does he come back, and what type of animosity and what type of like vibes does that bring not only into the locker room, on the court. So it's just a mess right now. It is such a mess. Good thing is, well, not good thing. I was gonna say good thing our Heat are winning games. It wasn't good news. We got blown out by the Utah Jazz the other day at home. We were at that game. Utah Jazz is one of the worst teams in the league. They only had 7 wins going into that game, and they completely poo-poo plattered on us. And then
it's like a blizzard.
We went to Sacramento. The Heat went to Sacramento, and they lost that game. And
that was a tough loss.
That was double overtime. You were up. I was like super zoning out of that.
I did.
That game, a tough game.
That game ended at 1:30 Eastern time, and I stayed up for it. The Heat had a chance to put it away in overtime in the fourth quarter. Jaime Jaquez with a 2-point lead had 2 free throws. He missed them both, and they come down and tie it and ended up beating us in overtime. But we did bounce back against the Warriors last night.
But they're not the same Warrior. I also want to just mention that because we say Warriors, and to the average person, you think, wow, Warriors, Steph Curry. They're not the same Warriors team that we're used to seeing in the past, but a win is a win, so we will take that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we had to stop the bleeding somehow. But and I know you didn't mention the Warriors. That was one of the teams that Jimmy was linked to, but you're saying that that's not one of the winners.
They already told no. Houston already said no. Giannis and the Bucks was another one, and they said absolutely no. Like, do not bring that toxicity towards Giannis and his team over there.
Yeah.
So
look, and by the way, if you missed last week's show, I give you credit. You're being very calm right now. She was not calm last week.
I've accepted it.
If you want, go to last week's episode 92, look it up, and just fast forward to the end, and just you can see Ashley, and you can look at my face. Just couldn't believe she was really, very loud and going all out about how her disdain was for Jimmy Butler. So check that out. So commending you for being a lot calmer this go around.
Taking the professional route this time.
There you go. It is a tough situation. Here's a guy that has gotten us to 2 NBA finals. The story by now, and it just sucks that this is the way he chose to put things in perspective. And you can't sell out or quit on your team and go before a mic and say, oh, I don't know if I can find my joy here. Well, if you do that,
probably not.
You pretty much put the writing on the wall that you can't be on this team. So
you make a good point that yes, last week I was super hyped, like in a bad way about that, and then I think what knolled me down is the fact that we kind of got it from Tyreek Hill just 3 days after. So, and again, Tyreek didn't say he's not happy. He didn't come up the same words that Jimmy straight up, said. But I think that I was just so hurt. I had so much emotion about that like the Tyreek thing, and then it kind of just I balanced them both out, and I just washed them both out, right? Like they say in Shark Tank, bring it in the backyard and just 86 it. I was just after I heard it from Tyreek after that. I just became numb to it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I
hear you. I suggested on Twitter that how about we just trade them for each other, right? Send Tyreek Hill to the Heat and send Jimmy Butler to the Dolphins. Maybe that's an easy solution. I don't know what I'm talking about, but something's going to happen because you cannot have players hold your organization hostage.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, the team uniforms names on the front and your name's on the back for a reason. You're playing for the team. The team will be here before you, after you, in between you. So you're playing for the team. You're playing for the city. You're playing for the fans. You're getting paid, handsomely to do it. There's no takebacks. I mean, look, Pat Riley gave Duncan Robinson a big contract. He's been bad. He hasn't lived up to that contract. What are you going to do? He's on the team. You got to eat it. And he signed his contract. I think the Heat have been very fair with Jimmy Butler. They've caved in to all. We've talked about this before. The Jimmy days off. Oh, Jimmy don't feel too good today. Jimmy's going to sit out. Oh, no problem, Jimmy. We mentioned how many season ticket holder events we've gone to, and we've seen Jimmy one time. We've gone to about 25 events in the last 3 years. He was up there once when they were doing the painting. But he was up on a stage. He didn't go. All the other Heat players, they're out mingling with the players. Yeah. Serving drinks, playing games, interactive games with the fans. Jimmy has only been seen once.
I've never met him in person. I've never met Jimmy Butler in person.
So
now that I'm thinking about it,
the Heat have done everything possible to bend over backwards to accommodate all of his, eccentric, behavior. And this is how you pay him back. That's where I'm at with that. And we'll see what happens. Because again, if there's no trade partner, he's got to come back to the team, and you cannot suspend him because he's already serving a suspension. You can't suspend him again. He has to do something else, which, by the way, Jimmy's very likely to do something else in order to get suspended again or force his
hand. And the Players Association are already barking about that they're saying it's not even like a legitimate reason to suspend a player. So even without, like, there's a lot of controversy with why we even suspended him. So the straw eventually has to break the camel's back, and it has to happen soon. This can't be a null. We have to go on with the Heat season.
Did you hear Cap for Life said that he turned down the Grizzlies? Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that one.
No? Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Somebody's saying that maybe the Grizzlies denied having Jimmy on their team. So we'll see how that goes. But
wait, Jimmy turned down the Grizzlies? Oh, Jimmy. Oh,
yeah. That Jimmy. Wow. Okay. So the other way around.
Yeah,
Jimmy said no.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go to the Grizzlies. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what ends up coming out.
Jimmy's world. We just live in it, according to him, right?
Exactly. So, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. Obviously the Dolphins season has come to an end, but the NFL playoffs go on. Let's do this. Let's give you guys one more opportunity. If you're just joining us, again, if you are on Twitter, you need to come over to YouTube. You need to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and you need to make your picks on this format. I'm going to give it to you really quick. Chargers at the Texans, Steelers at the Ravens, Broncos at the Bills, Packers at the Eagles, Commanders at the Buccaneers, and the Vikings at the Rams. You must put in your winner, just your winner for this week. If you haven't done so already, if you did it, no need to do it again. And we will give you instructions and see where everybody falls after this week's games. We're looking forward to watch these games, even though we're not in it. We definitely want to see what the competition is doing so we can be prepared next year. And yeah, I'll just say that I don't want the Bills to win. That's all I care about. I don't want to see the Bills win. And a second team I don't want to win is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're two-time defending champions. They obviously screwed us over this past weekend by not playing anybody. And as many of you fans out there in the room know, there's never been a team to three-peat. No team has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. And the Chiefs, with a 15-2 record now, are going for it. So I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see the Chiefs. I don't want to see the Bills. That's all I'm saying. You want to give a prediction?
No.
No?
I mean, I think it's too early.
Yeah, it's too early. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you kind of got to give your prediction before it starts. But
that is true, too.
I don't want anybody to give the predictions because you're going to tip your hand. So if you are in the chat room, unless Russ, who's an Eagles fan, he could say he wants the Eagles to win. But everybody else, just keep it to yourself. Poker hand, poker fan, poker hand, poker face.
Yes, we'll see. Now it's we have not much football left, but it's going to be a grand finale for sure, and hopefully that grand finale does not include the Bills or the Chiefs.
Yep.
But it very well could. So prepare yourself. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. But also, Eagles and.
Obviously, for us, that was the end of the line, as shown by my cutting of the schedule. So we're done. Let me just rip this up one more time because this season was a disaster. But yeah, Super Bowl 59 is going to be played in New Orleans at the Superdome. So that'll be cool. And since we cannot participate, do you know where next year's Super Bowl is going to be? Do you know?
I'm blanking out on it.
Next year's Super Bowl.
Not LA.
Does anybody in the room know? I'm going to ask the room. Anybody in the room?
New York? No,
not New York. New York's only got one Super Bowl, and they're not going to go back there with that. No, not Atlanta. Atlanta's coming up in a couple of years. But does anybody in the room know, without looking it up, where next year's Super Bowl will be played? Anybody got it there?
Agree. Enough of the Chiefs.
Yeah, for real. Yes, it is. It definitely will, Cap. 100%. Anybody want to guess where next year's Super Bowl is going to be played?
Let's get to this one first.
Yes, that's true. But it's going to be played. Anybody got there? No. All right. So next year's Super Bowl is going to be played in
Arizona.
No, it's going to be played in San Francisco.
Oh,
yeah.
Levi Stadium.
So it will be at Levi Stadium next year. The big one, Super Bowl 60, will be played in San Francisco. They're actually going back to back. It's going to be San Francisco and then Los Angeles.
No one really knew that. SoFi.
Yeah. So no, that SoFi is the year after. So it'll be San Francisco and SoFi coming up. And then I believe you got Atlanta in there as well. So yeah, you got some interesting destinations. You got the next 2 Super Bowls will be on the West Coast, and then coming back here to the South in Atlanta. So
So you're telling me next year at this time we'll be planning a trip to go to San Francisco?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, that's the goal, right?
With that, right?
We want to be out there in San Fran.
There's still unfinished business that we didn't get to do in San Fran. There's more Ghirardelli chocolate and Golden Gate Bridge and
more Napa wine tasting.
Bring home a Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
I'm down. Make it happen.
Yep. All right, guys. So you want to wrap it up? So
yeah, guys. Again tomorrow, big Orange Bowl game. Penn State and Notre Dame tomorrow, 7:30 here at the Hard Rock Stadium, or here in Miami, like over here, but at the Hard Rock Stadium. And then on Friday, you have the Cotton Bowl, in Texas, followed by a weekend flowing into Monday of NFL playoff games and, some heat away games as well. So it has been fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the last bit of football left because we all know that when football is no longer here, we're going to that little hibernation stage. And we're like, how many more weeks till football? I know Ian does a countdown for football and stuff. So even though our Finns are not in it, embrace it. Football is a beautiful America's pastime sport. Enjoy it. Don't be happy for the teams that are in it because we're not happy for them, but just enjoy the great games with yourself, your family, and your friends.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Ian, Big E. So Big E's also doing a play on Pick'em on his own. There's a buy-in. There's no buy-in for this. You're just gonna pick your games, and we'll give you.
Keep going. Keep talking. What are you saying?
Darn it!
What are you saying? Keep going.
I almost made it through the whole show.
Keep going, but Biggie, what? Keep going. I always feel like this all the time. No, keep going.
I cannot.
No, keep going. No, they want to know about Biggie. Biggie, don't you guys need to know about Biggie?
Biggie's information. Give it to him. Come on. I can't. I drink some water.
Keep going. No, I wish that would happen like in real life off screen, that Lou his voice would just go like that all the time, but it only happens here. Go ahead.
Damn it. All right, I got my water.
Language.
I sang the Bee Gees last week. If you missed that as well, that was early in the show. I sang little Barry Gibb Bee Gee music, so I think that messed my voice as it's doing now. So time to say goodnight because, give me my water.
Say please.
Please.
Also, last thing, I announced it today on my Twitter that Third Eye Blind is going to be performing at DCC.
Yes,
super excited about that. Finally, a band that I appreciate. So it'll be cool to see them performing. They're a band from obviously early 90s, but you know them very well.
Yeah, they're awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, so lead us out in closing prayer. Go ahead.
I am not, but I would encourage you guys to. What's Biggie's handle on Twitter?
Ian something. I don't know what off the top of my head. Yeah,
reach out to me if you're interested. He's doing a playoff pick'em it's a $40 entry, big grand prize. So reach out to me. I'll give you Biggie's information, and you could register in that contest as well.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy some great football this weekend, and we will catch up with you. Also, last thing, this Friday is also National Quitters Day in the sense that for those who have done New Year's resolutions, it is stereotypical that people quit by Friday. I'm happy to announce that I am still on track with mine. I do not plan on quitting on Friday. In fact, I'm even more pumped. I am the type where I'm not sharing my New Year's resolutions. I'm letting me work behind the scenes. But this Friday, so if you're in the fight for New Year's resolutions, do not give up. Friday is a National Quitters Day. Hang in there.
There you go. It's a great message. And absolutely, stay at it. And hopefully you can meet your goals this year.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Give us some music to take us out.
You got it. You don't want to sing?
No. I was singing Bee Gees last week, Staying Alive, but we're no longer alive. So season went to shambles. I'm going to do this one too.
Go for it.
So, Dolphin schedule. Oh, this hurts. This last one hurts. Bad year. Really, really bad year. That's all I got. Good night, guys.